The massive ships appeared on a Tuesday morning, casting shadows over New York, London, and Tokyo. They were beautiful in a way that made human hearts race, smooth silver surfaces that seemed to bend light itself, moving without any visible engines or exhaust. Children pressed their faces to windows while adults fumbled for their phones, trying to capture something that defied their cameras. The ships hovered for exactly 3 hours. Then they landed. Ambassador Zixathera emerged from the largest vessel, in Central Park. The being stood 9 feet tall, with a body made of what looked like living crystal that changed colors as it moved. Its voice, when it spoke, came from everywhere and nowhere, as if the air itself was talking. "People of Earth," the ambassador said, and somehow everyone on the planet heard it in their own language. "We are the Galactic Confederation. We have traveled far to bring you wonderful news." The United Nations building had never seen such chaos. World leaders who barely spoke to each other suddenly found themselves sitting in the same room, watching this impossible creature address them directly. President Chen sat next to Prime Minister Williams, both looking like children who had been called to the principal's office. "Your world is beautiful," Zixathera continued, its crystalline form shifting from blue to gold. "But it is also in terrible danger. The universe is not the peaceful place your scientists imagine. There are things out there that consume entire planets, creatures that live in the spaces between stars and hunt civilizations for sport." The ambassador waved one of its many arms, and the air above the assembly filled with images, planets turning to ash, cities being consumed by living shadows, species screaming as their worlds died around them. "We have seen 1,000 worlds fall to the devourer swarms," Zixathera said sadly. "We have watched the void cults tear holes, in reality itself, pulling entire star systems into nightmare dimensions. We have witnessed horrors that would drive your strongest minds to madness." General Martinez, a man who had seen war on 3 continents, found his hands shaking as he watched the images. Beside him, President Chen had gone very pale. "But you are lucky," the ambassador said, and the terrible images faded. "The Galactic Confederation has decided to protect Earth. You will not suffer the fate of so many others. We offer you our friendship, our technology, and our guardianship." The crystal being gestured again, and new images appeared. Cities of impossible beauty floating among the stars. Humans with extended lifespans working alongside alien scientists. Ships that could travel between galaxies in the blink of an eye. "We will share our knowledge with you," Zixathera promised. "Your diseases will become curable. Your lifespans will triple. Your technology will advance by thousands of years in mere decades. All we ask in return is that you accept our protection." "Secretary General?" Rodriguez leaned forward. "What does this protection involve?" "Simple things," the ambassador replied, its color shifting to a reassuring green. "You will remain in your solar system until you are ready for the greater universe. Your weapons research will be guided by us to ensure they cannot be turned against you. Your more dangerous scientific experiments will be supervised. Think of us as older siblings, keeping you safe until you grow up." The world leaders looked at each other. This was beyond anything they had prepared for. President Chen cleared his throat. "This is incredibly generous. We are honored by your offer." "The universe is vast and dangerous," Zixathera said. "But within our protection, humanity will thrive. You will become part of something greater than yourselves, a galactic community that has existed for millions of years." The formal acceptance ceremony took place 3 days later. Every major leader on Earth stood in the UN Assembly as Ambassador Zixathera activated a device that surrounded the planet in a shimmering barrier. "This shield will protect you from all cosmic threats," the ambassador explained. "Nothing harmful can reach you now. You are safe." President Chen stepped forward with the signed agreements. "On behalf of humanity, We accept your generous offer of protection and friendship. The ambassador's crystal form brightened with what seemed like joy. Excellent. Our ships will establish monitoring stations throughout your system. Teams of our scientists will arrive soon to begin upgrading your technology. Welcome to the Galactic Confederation, little brothers. As the ceremony ended and the cameras stopped rolling, something interesting happened. The world leaders filed out of the assembly hall, their faces serious and humble for the watching public. But once they were away from the aliens and the press, strange expressions began to appear. General Martinez walked beside President Chen, both men silent until they reached a private corridor. Then Martinez leaned close and whispered, "Did they actually just offer to protect us?" President Chen's face, which had been carefully neutral all day, suddenly split into a grin that looked almost predatory. "Really?" she whispered back and began to laugh very quietly. In London, Prime Minister Williams was having a similar conversation with his defense minister. "They want to keep us in our solar system," Williams murmured, "like children in a playpen. And they think we'll just accept that," the defense minister replied. "Have they met humans?" In Moscow, Beijing, and Washington, similar conversations were happening. Behind closed doors, away from alien sensors, humans were sharing looks that their new protectors would not have found reassuring. Dr. Sarah Kim, watching the news coverage, from her laboratory felt that same strange smile crossing her face. She had spent her career studying human psychology and development. She knew what happened when you told humans they could not do something. She knew what happened when you underestimated them. The aliens thought they were saving humanity from the dangerous universe. What they did not understand was that humanity had never needed saving from danger. Humanity was usually the danger that other things needed saving from. As night fell on Earth, the alien ships took their positions around the planet. Their sensors showed a world full of grateful, primitive beings who were overjoyed to be protected by their betters. The readings showed elevated heart rates and brain activity, which the aliens interpreted as excitement and relief. They were not entirely wrong. Humans were excited, but not for the reasons the Galactic Confederation thought. In military bases around the world, generals were making phone calls. In government buildings, world leaders were scheduling very private meetings. In laboratories and universities, scientists were asking very interesting questions about their new alien technology. The Galactic Confederation had just made humanity an offer they thought could not be refused. What they did not realize was that humanity had already refused it. They just had not mentioned that fact yet. Ambassador Zixathara settled into its quarters on the command ship, satisfied with a job well done. Another primitive species had been saved from the harsh realities of the universe. In a few years, maybe decades, these humans would be properly civilized and ready to take their place as junior members of the galactic community. The ambassador's last thought before entering its rest cycle was how refreshingly easy these humans had been to convince. Most species required much more persuasion to accept protection. Far below, on the surface of Earth, President Chen sat in her office and stared up at the alien ships. Her smile had not faded. "Really?" she said again, and reached for her phone. 6 months had passed since the aliens arrived, and Earth looked very different. Silver towers now dotted every major city, their surfaces covered in symbols that hurt human eyes to look at directly. The aliens called them monitoring stations. Humans had other names for them. Ambassador Zixathara stood in the largest tower overlooking New York City. The human leaders had requested this meeting to discuss the next phase of their protection. The ambassador was pleased. These humans were adapting to guidance much faster than most species. "The initial period has gone wonderfully," Zixathara told the assembled world leaders. "Your people have shown remarkable cooperation. Now we must discuss the next steps in your development." President Chen nodded respectfully. "We are eager to learn." The ambassador activated a holographic display. First, we must address your military capabilities. Many of your weapons are far too dangerous for a protected species. Nuclear weapons, biological research, and your experimental energy projects must be safely deactivated. General Martinez raised his hand. What about defending ourselves from natural disasters? Asteroids, solar flares, that sort of thing? Our planetary shield handles all such threats, Zixthera replied. You no longer need these primitive defenses. We will provide you with appropriate technology for your current level of development. Prime Minister Williams leaned forward. And our space program? Will be suspended until you are ready. The universe beyond your system is too dangerous for unguided exploration. When the time comes, our ships will take you where you need to go. The human leaders exchanged glances. To alien eyes, these looks seemed like concern or confusion. They were not entirely wrong. We understand, President Chen said carefully. Of course, dismantling these systems will take time. Our scientists will need to ensure everything is safely shut down. Naturally, the ambassador agreed. Take all the time you need. We have noticed that human curiosity sometimes leads to unfortunate accidents. Better to be careful. What Zixthera did not know was that human curiosity had already led to some very interesting discoveries. In hidden laboratories around the world, scientists were making breakthrough after breakthrough with alien technology. Dr. Sarah Kim worked in one such laboratory deep beneath the Colorado mountains. Officially, the facility had been shut down 6 months ago. Officially, Dr. Kim was now working on agricultural improvements for the Galactic Confederation. Unofficially, she was having the time of her life. "Hand me that quantum resonator," she called to her assistant, Dr. Patel. They had stolen the device from an alien monitoring station 3 months ago. The aliens had not even noticed it was missing. "Are you sure this is safe?" Dr. Patel asked, watching the alien device pulse with internal light. "Probably not," Dr. Kim grinned. "But we have learned more about physics in the last 6 months than in the previous 6 decades. Look at this." She activated the device, and the air in the room seemed to fold in on itself. For a moment, both scientists could see through the walls, through the mountain, all the way to the surface. "Dimensional viewing technology," Dr. Kim explained. "They are using it to watch us, but it works both ways. We can see everything they do." Dr. Patel stared at the impossible sight. "How are we understanding their technology so quickly?" "That is the beautiful part," Dr. Kim said. "They think we are primitive, so they are not trying to hide anything from us. It is like watching a master chef cook while thinking you are too stupid to learn the recipe." Meanwhile, in a similar facility beneath the Swiss Alps, other humans were making different discoveries. Dr. Martinez, the general's daughter, and a quantum physicist, had found something interesting about the alien communications network. "They are not just talking to each other," she explained to her team. "They are connected to something bigger, a galaxy-wide network that includes hundreds of other protected species." Her assistant, Dr. Chang, looked up from his computer. "Protected species?" "We are not their first project," Dr. Martinez said grimly. "There are dozens of other worlds under their protection, and something is wrong with the pattern." She brought up a display showing communication frequencies across the galaxy. "Look at these signals. Every protected world sends the same type of data to the Confederation: population reports, resource surveys, technological assessments." "That sounds normal for a protective arrangement," Dr. Chang said. "Does it?" Dr. Martinez asked. "Because it looks exactly like a farming operation to me." Back on the alien command ship, Ambassador Zixthera was reviewing Earth's progress reports. Everything seemed to be going perfectly. Human weapons programs were shutting down on schedule. Their space missions had been suspended. Their most dangerous research facilities were being converted to safer purposes. The ambassador was particularly pleased with human compliance in one area. Their internet and communication systems had been easily integrated with Confederation, monitoring protocols. Every human message, every data transfer, every digital conversation was now being recorded and analyzed. What the ambassador did not realize was that humans had been expecting this from day one. In a basement in Tokyo, a teenager named Yuki was doing something that would have terrified the aliens if they had understood it. She was teaching the Confederation's monitoring system to think it was seeing normal human internet traffic, while the real network operated on completely different principles. It is like showing a guard dog a recording of an empty room while you rob the house, she explained to her online friends. The Confederation's systems dutifully recorded this conversation as being about video games. The real conversation was about how to build faster-than-light communication devices using alien technology that the aliens thought humans were too primitive to understand. Across the globe, similar projects were happening. Human engineers were reverse engineering alien tools and making them better. Human physicists were discovering new laws of science by studying alien mistakes. Human computer scientists were building networks that existed in dimensions the aliens could not monitor. And in the deepest, most secret facilities, human military strategists were planning for something the aliens could never have imagined. Dr. Kim made another breakthrough that week. While studying the planetary shield that supposedly protected Earth, she discovered something fascinating. The shield does not just keep things out, she told her team. It is designed to keep things in. We are not being protected. We are being contained. Dr. Patel looked worried. Like a prison? More like a zoo, Dr. Kim said. But here is the interesting part. The containment field has a fatal flaw. She brought up a diagram of the shield's energy patterns. It assumes that anything trying to escape will use the same physics that created it. But what if you used completely different physics? Different. How? Dr. Kim's smile was becoming famous among the human resistance. It was the smile of someone who had just figured out how to break the universe's rules. What if you did not try to go through the shield, she said. What if you went around it, through dimensions that do not exist in their physics textbooks? The aliens had given humanity access to their basic technology, thinking it would keep them busy and grateful for generations. What they had actually done was give humans the tools to become something the galaxy had never seen before. In government buildings around the world leaders were holding meetings that the aliens thought were about agricultural policy and cultural development. The real topics were somewhat different. How long before we are ready? President Chen asked General Martinez. Our scientists say 6 more months for the first working prototype, the general replied. Maybe less if Dr. Kim's team keeps making breakthroughs. And the other projects? Ahead of schedule. The aliens are very helpful when they think you are asking innocent questions about their technology. President Chen looked out her window at the alien monitoring tower. Its symbols still hurt to look at, but they no longer seemed threatening. They looked more like a countdown timer. 6 months, she said. Then we show them what humans are really, like when someone tries to protect us from the universe. High above Earth, Ambassador Zixthara felt a strange sensation. For just a moment, the Confederation's sensors had detected something odd, an energy signature that did not match any known physics. But when the ambassador checked the readings again, everything appeared normal. Just another day on another protected world, with another grateful primitive species learning to be civilized. The ambassador dismissed the anomaly as a sensor error and went back to planning humanity's next lesson in proper galactic citizenship. On the surface below, Dr. Kim was teaching her team how to fold space-time like origami. The breakthrough came on a Thursday morning in Dr. Kim's laboratory. After 8 months of work, her team had finally cracked the secret of dimensional travel. The prototype ship was barely larger than a car, but it could do something the aliens thought was impossible. Leave Earth without touching the containment field. Remember, Dr. Kim told Captain Rivera as he prepared for humanity's first secret space mission. You are not breaking through their barrier. You are stepping sideways from it. As far as their sensors know, you never left. Captain Rivera, formerly of the International Space Station, nodded grimly. How long do I have before they notice something is wrong? Their monitoring systems. Check our solar system every 6 hours, Dr. Patel replied. As long as you are back within that window, they will never know you were gone. The ship itself looked like a fever dream. Human engineering combined with alien technology and some completely new physics had created something that should not have been able to exist. It was held together with quantum foam and good intentions. Good luck, Dr. Kim said as Rivera sealed himself into the pilot's chamber. Try not to break the universe. The ship vanished, not in a flash of light or a burst of energy, but like a soap bubble popping. One moment it was there, the next it was simply somewhere else. Rivera found himself in open space far beyond Earth's solar system. According to the navigation system Dr. Kim had jury-rigged from alien components, he was near a star system that showed signs of intelligent life. The mission was simple: make contact, gather information, and get back before the Confederation noticed anything unusual. What he found changed everything. The planet was beautiful from space. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. It looked almost exactly like Earth. But something was wrong with the orbital structures around it. As Rivera's ship moved closer, he could see what looked like a massive cage made of energy fields surrounding the planet. The same type of energy that formed Earth's protective barrier. Another protected world, Rivera muttered into his communicator. He was recording everything for the folks back home. Let me see if I can make contact. The first sign that this was not a normal protection arrangement came when Rivera tried to hail the planet. Instead of getting a response from the surface, his communication was intercepted by something in orbit. Unknown vessel, came a voice speaking perfect English. You are in violation of Galactic Confederation containment protocols. Identify yourself immediately. Rivera made a split-second decision. This is Captain Rivera of the human exploration vessel Terra. We are lost. There was a long pause. Then, did you say human? How did you get out of your containment field? It is a long story, Rivera replied. Who am I talking to? I am Commander Thies of the Thylorian Resistance Fleet. We have been watching your world since the Confederation arrived. We wondered how long it would take your species to break free. Rivera felt his heart racing. Resistance Fleet? Captain, you need to understand something about your protectors. They are not protecting you from the universe. They are protecting the universe from you learning the truth. Can you come aboard our ship? An hour later, Rivera found himself sitting in what looked like a war room aboard a vessel that made alien technology look primitive. Commander Thies was humanoid, but with silver skin and eyes that seemed to hold starlight. Around them, other Thylorian officers worked at stations that bent space and time. How long have you been protected? Thies asked. 8 months, Rivera replied. Thies laughed, but there was no humor in it. We have been protected for 3,000 years. Rivera stared. 3,000 years? The Galactic Confederation is very patient, Thies explained. They do not conquer worlds. They save them. They offer protection from cosmic horrors, advanced technology, extended lifespans. All you have to do is accept their guidance. A holographic display showed dozens of star systems, each surrounded by the same type of energy barrier that enclosed Earth. Each of these worlds accepted protection, Thies continued. Each species thought they were lucky to be chosen. Each civilization spent generations believing they were being prepared for something greater. What actually happens? Rivera asked, though he was beginning to suspect he already knew. You become a resource, Thies said simply. Your unique cultural achievements, your technological innovations, your biological adaptations, everything. that makes your species special becomes part of the Confederation's collection. You are kept at the perfect level of development to be useful but not dangerous. Rivera looked at the display. How many species? Currently under protection. 417. The Confederation has been operating for over 50,000 years. What about the cosmic horrors they warned us about? The devourer swarms and void cults? Theis's expression grew dark. Oh, those are real. But they are not random monsters from the void. They are what happens when protected species finally figure out the truth and try to fight back. The commander activated another display, showing twisted ships that seem to be made of living shadow and hunger. The devourer swarms were once the Kelrathi Empire. They accepted protection 12,000 years ago. When they finally tried to break free, the Confederation's response drove them insane. Now they consume other worlds, trying to fill the emptiness where their civilization used to be. Rivera felt sick. And the void cults? The primary collective. They discovered how to break through dimensional barriers and tried to escape to parallel universes. The Confederation's pursuit drove them into dimensions where different laws of physics apply. Now they exist partially outside reality itself, and they hate everything that still exists normally. So the Confederation creates its own enemies, Rivera said. Worse, Thess replied. They use those enemies to justify protecting new species. Every horror story they tell is true. They just do not mention that they created the horrors in the first place. Rivera studied the tactical displays around the war room. How many species have successfully resisted? None, Theis admitted. But none of them were human. Commander Thys led Rivera to an observation deck where they could see the energy barrier surrounding the Thylorian homeworld. We have spent 3,000 years trying to break this cage, Theis explained. We have developed technology that makes the Confederation look primitive. We can bend reality, travel through time, communicate across infinite distances, but we cannot break free. Why not? Because every time we develop something that might work, the Confederation adapts their containment field. They have had 50,000 years to perfect their prison technology. Rivera looked out at the barrier. To his eyes, it looked exactly like the one around Earth. But Earth's barrier had not stopped Dr. Kim's ship. Commander, Rivera said slowly, what if I told you that we broke out after 8 months? Thais stared at him. That would be impossible. What if I told you that our scientists are not trying to break the barrier? Rivera continued. What if they found a way to ignore it completely? For the first time since Rivera had met him, Commander. Theis looked shocked. Show me, the alien commander said. Rivera activated a recording device that Dr. Kim had given him. It projected a hologram of her explaining the dimensional folding technique that allowed ships to step sideways from reality. Your species is doing what? Theis asked when the recording finished. We are not fighting the cage, Rivera explained. We are pretending it does not exist and walking through the spaces between atoms. Thys stared at the hologram for a long moment. Then he began to laugh. It started as a chuckle, but grew into something that sounded like joy and amazement, and 3,000 years of frustration finally finding release. Of course, he said. Of course, we have been trying to break out of the cage for millennia, but humans just decided the cage was not real and walked away from it. Rivera grinned. We are very good at ignoring rules that we did not agree to follow. Captain, Theis said seriously, your species may have just changed the course of galactic history. How many other humans know about this technology? Right now, maybe 100 scientists and military officers, but we are planning to scale up production quickly. Theis activated a communication system. I need to contact the other resistance fleets immediately. If human technology can break Confederation containment fields, we can start freeing other species, Rivera finished, as Rivera prepared to return to Earth with intelligence that would Change everything, Commander Thas gave him one final warning. The Confederation will not take this threat lightly, he said. Once they realize what your species is capable of, they will stop treating you as children and start treating you as a threat. Good, Rivera replied. We work much better when someone underestimates us. The trip back to Earth took only minutes thanks to the dimensional folding drive. Rivera materialized in Dr. Kim's laboratory exactly 5 hours and 57 minutes after he had left. As far as the Confederation's sensors knew, he had never gone anywhere. Well, Dr. Kim asked as Rivera climbed out of the ship. We need to have a very serious conversation with the world's leaders, Rivera said, and we need to start building a lot more ships. High above Earth, Ambassador Zixathara was reviewing the daily reports from the monitoring stations. Everything appeared normal. Human weapons programs were being dismantled on schedule. Their space program remained suspended. Their most brilliant scientists were working. Ambassador Zixathara first noticed something was wrong when the Thylorian containment field failed. The alert came at 0347 hours, Galactic Standard Time. The energy barrier that had held the Thylorian homeworld for 3,000 years simply collapsed. Not damaged or overwhelmed, it just stopped working, as if someone had found the off switch and flipped it. Report, Zixathara demanded, as subordinates scrambled around the command center. Unknown, sir, replied Subcommander Kent. The containment field is receiving power and all systems show normal operation, but the barrier itself has completely disappeared. On the main display, they could see Thylorian ships emerging from their world for the first time in millennia. Ships that should not have been able to exist, using technology that the Confederation's own scientists claimed was impossible. How are they moving through space without engines? Kent asked, studying the readings. These ships appear to be folding reality around themselves. Before Zixathara could answer, another alert sounded. Then another. Then a dozen more. Across the galaxy, containment fields were failing. Species that had been protected for thousands of years were suddenly free, and they were not staying home to celebrate. Sir, came a panicked voice from the communication station. We are receiving reports of impossible ships appearing throughout Confederation space. They are not attacking our vessels, but they are liberating other protected worlds. Zixathara's crystalline form shifted to a deep red. In 50,000 years of operation, the Galactic Confederation had never faced a situation like this. Protected species did not just break free, and they certainly did not help other protected species break free. Analysis, the ambassador demanded. How is this possible? The technology appears to be completely unknown, Kent replied. These ships are not using any form of propulsion we recognize. Our sensors can barely detect them, and our weapons cannot lock onto them. Unknown technology does not just appear from nowhere, Zixathara snapped. Where did they get it? The answer came from an unexpected source. A human ship materialized directly in front of the Confederation flagship, appearing without any of the usual energy signatures associated with faster-than-light travel. Confederation vessel, came a transmission in perfect galactic standard. This is Admiral Chen of the Human Liberation Fleet. We need to talk. Zixathara stared at the display. The ship was clearly of human construction, but it was using technology. That should have been beyond their capabilities for at least another 1,000 years. And how had they learned galactic standards so quickly? Human vessel, Zixathara replied. You are in violation of your protection agreements. Return to your world immediately. About that, Admiral Chen's voice said, and Zixathara could hear something in her tone that made the ambassador's crystal body flicker with unease. We have decided to decline your protection. That is not how protection works, Zixathara said firmly. You cannot simply decline safety. Watch us, Admiral, Chen replied. The human ship moved closer and Zixathara could see it clearly for the first time. It looked wrong. Not just alien, but impossible. The hull seemed to exist in several dimensions at once, and weapons that bent space itself lined its surface. "Admiral Chen," Zixthara said, trying to regain control of the situation. "You do not understand the dangers of the universe. There are cosmic horrors out there that will destroy your entire species if you leave our protection." "Funny thing about that," Admiral Chen replied. "We have been talking to some of those cosmic horrors. Turns out they have very interesting stories about where they came from." Zixthara's form went completely white. "You have been in contact with the Devourer swarms, and the Void cults, and the Entropy wraiths, and about a dozen other nightmare species that you told us were random monsters." Admiral Chen's voice carried an edge of steel that made Zixthara remember why the Confederation preferred to protect species rather than fight them. "They all have something in common. They all used to be under your protection." The flagship's bridge fell silent. Even the Confederation's own officers looked shocked. "That is impossible," Zixthara said, but the words sounded hollow, even to the ambassador's own censors. "Is it?" Admiral Chen asked. "Because we have detailed records now. Every single cosmic horror you warned us about was once a protected species that tried to break free. And when they did, you hunted them until they went insane." A new ship appeared beside the human vessel. Then another. Soon the Confederation flagship was surrounded by vessels from dozens of different species, all using the same impossible dimensional technology. "Allow me to introduce our allies," Admiral Chen said. "Commander Thys of the Thylorian Resistance, Captain Vex of the Free Karathi Fleet, Ambassador Zern of the Liberated Phantom Empire, and many others. They all have stories to tell about your protection." Zixthara realized that the situation had moved far beyond a simple containment breach. This was not just one species breaking free. This was a full-scale rebellion led by the species the Confederation had thought was the most primitive of all. "How?" Zixthara asked. "How did you develop this technology so quickly?" "That is the beautiful part," Admiral Chen replied, and Zixthara could hear her smiling. "We did not develop it. We just looked at your technology and asked ourselves, what if we did the opposite of everything these people expect?" The human admiral activated a holographic display that appeared inside the Confederation flagship, somehow bypassing all their security systems. "You build containment fields that keep things in," Admiral Chen explained. "So we built drives that step outside the concept of being contained. You create weapons that destroy matter and energy. So we made weapons that convince matter and energy to be somewhere else. You use technology that follows the laws of physics. So we use technology that politely asks physics to step aside for a moment." Zixthara stared at the display. The technology was not just advanced, it was revolutionary. It operated on principles that the Confederation's greatest scientists had never even imagined. "But you are primitives," Zixthara protested. "You have barely mastered space travel." "You keep saying that word," Admiral Chen replied. "I do not think it means what you think it means." Another ship appeared, this one massive beyond anything the Confederation had ever built. It was clearly human in design, but it seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. "This is the HMS Curiosity," Admiral Chen announced. "Our flagship. Would you like to know how we built it?" Before Zixthara could answer, the ship began transmitting technical specifications. The ambassador's subordinates rushed to analyze the data, their excitement growing as they realized what they were seeing. "Sir," Kenth reported, "this vessel appears to use our own technology as a starting point, but the modifications are unprecedented. They have taken our dimensional manipulation tools and somehow made them work backwards." "Backwards?" Zixthara asked. "Instead of using energy to manipulate dimensions, they use dimensions to manipulate energy. Instead of building stronger barriers, they build technology that treats barriers as suggestions. It is as if they took everything we know about physics and decided to play it in reverse." Admiral Chen's voice cut through their analysis. "The thing about humans, Ambassador, is that we have a very simple approach to problems. When someone tells us something is impossible, we assume they just have not been creative enough yet." "You cannot do this," Zixthara said desperately. "The cosmic horrors are real. If protected species leave our guidance, they become corrupted. They turn into the very monsters we are trying to save the galaxy from." "About that," Admiral Chen said, "we have been talking to the Devourer swarms. Interesting conversation. Would you like to hear what they told us?" A new ship appeared near the human fleet. This one looked like it was made of living shadow and hunger, clearly one of the dreaded Devourer vessels. But as Zixthara watched in horror, it did not attack the human ships. Instead, it moved to join their formation. "This is Captain Cathara of the vessel Endless Hunger," came a transmission that made the Confederation crew recoil in terror. "Formerly of the Kelrathi Empire before your protection drove us to madness." Zixthara's form flickered between colors as panic set in. "This is impossible. The Devourer swarms consume everything they encounter." "We consume because we are empty inside," Cathara replied. "The Confederation's protection hollowed us out, made us dependent on external validation for our worth. When we tried to break free, they hunted us until we forgot who we used to be. But the humans reminded us." "How?" Zixthara whispered. Admiral Chen answered. "We asked them what they wanted. Not what they were programmed to want or what their corruption made them want. What they actually wanted, deep down where their original selves were still hiding. And we said we wanted to go home," Cathara added, "so they showed us the way." Around the Confederation flagship, more impossible ships continued to appear. Void cult vessels that seemed to phase in and out of reality. Entropy wraiths that existed as pure mathematical concepts given form. Horror after horror, but none of them attacking. The trial took place on Nexus Prime, the Galactic Confederation's capital world. For 50,000 years, this planet had been the center of galactic civilization, its crystal spires reaching into space itself. Now those same spires were surrounded by ships from hundreds of liberated worlds, all waiting to see justice done. Ambassador Zixthara stood in the center of the Great Judgment Hall, no longer the confident protector who had first arrived at Earth. The ambassador's crystalline form had turned a dull gray, and its once melodious voice now carried the weight of inevitable defeat. Across from Zixthara sat the representatives of the liberated species. Admiral Chen led the human delegation, flanked by Commander Thys of the Thylorians and Captain Cathara of the reformed Kelrathi. Behind them sat delegates from 417 worlds, species that had been caged for millennia but were now free. Dr. Sarah Kim, now serving as humanity's chief scientific advisor, activated a holographic display that filled the vast chamber. "The evidence is simple," she began, her voice carrying clearly through the hall. "For 50,000 years, the Galactic Confederation has operated under the pretense of protection. They claimed to save primitive species from cosmic horrors, while preparing them for galactic citizenship. The display showed star charts spanning the galaxy, each point of light representing a protected world. What they actually created was the largest farming operation in galactic history," Dr. Kim continued. "They identified species with unique traits, technological innovation, cultural creativity, biological adaptation, and then trapped them at the perfect level of development to harvest those traits without ever allowing true independence." "Ambassador," Zixthara finally spoke, "we saved countless worlds from destruction. Without our guidance, these species would have been consumed by the very horrors we see in this room." Captain Cathara rose from the defendant section. The former Devourer commander had undergone remarkable changes since the humans had helped restore the Kelrathi identity. The living shadow that had once consumed worlds now appeared as a being of starlight and hope. "You created the horrors," Cathara said simply. My people were explorers and philosophers before your protection. We mapped distant galaxies and wrote poetry about the beauty of the cosmos. But you needed us to be excellent at resource management, so you structured our society around scarcity and competition. The reformed Kelrathi activated another display, showing images of their world before Confederation protection. Beautiful cities that existed in harmony with nature, artwork that captured the essence of distant stars, technologies that enhanced life rather than controlling it. When we tried to return to our true nature, you told us we were becoming dangerous. Cathara continued. You hunted us across the galaxy until we forgot who we had been. The hunger that defined us as devourers was not our nature. It was the emptiness you created by stealing our identity. Commander Thys stood next. The Thylorian Collective spent 3,000 years trying to break free through technological advancement. Every breakthrough we made, you countered with improved containment. You made us believe that freedom was impossible, that we were dependent on your protection. The Thylorian commander gestured to the liberated ships surrounding the planet. But humans showed us something we had forgotten. The problem was not that we were not smart enough or strong enough to break free. The problem was that we were trying to break free using the same rules that created our cages. Admiral Chen stood and walked to the center of the chamber. The Confederation's greatest crime was not enslavement, it was theft of potential. Every species under protection was prevented from becoming what they could have been. You stole the future from an entire galaxy. She activated a new display showing statistical projections. Our analysis indicates that galactic technological development has been artificially slowed by approximately 10,000 years. Species that should have been exploring other galaxies by now are still struggling with faster-than-light travel. Civilizations that could have solved death itself are limited to extending lifespans by a few centuries. Zixthara's form flickered. Without guidance, these species would have destroyed themselves. We have seen it happen. Primitive civilizations always choose warfare over cooperation. Some do, Admiral Chen agreed. But you never gave them the chance to choose differently. You assumed they would fail and made sure they never had the opportunity. To prove you wrong, Dr. Kim stepped forward with a new piece of evidence. We found something interesting in the Confederation archives. Records of species that were never protected, civilizations that developed naturally without your interference. The display showed a different set of star charts. These species, on average, developed faster, created more stable societies, and produced fewer destructive conflicts than protected species. The cosmic horrors you warned us about, they only exist in regions where the Confederation operates. The implications hung in the air like a physical weight. 50,000 years of protection had not saved the galaxy from dangers. It had created most of those dangers. Ambassador Zixthara slumped as the full weight of evidence became clear. What do you want? The ambassador asked. Punishment? Destruction of our worlds? Revenge for centuries of control? Admiral Chen smiled. And once again, it was that mysterious expression that had appeared on human faces from the very beginning. We want you to do what you claim to be doing all along, she said. Actually, protect civilizations from cosmic threats. The chamber fell silent. Even the liberated species delegates looked surprised. Protection is not the same as control. Admiral Chen continued. Real protection means helping civilizations defend themselves, not making them dependent on you. It means sharing knowledge freely instead of rationing it out in careful doses. It means trusting other species to make their own choices even when those choices might include mistakes. Dr. Kim activated a final display, this one showing a new organizational structure. We proposed the True Guardian Protocol. Instead of containing civilizations, we help them grow. Instead of harvesting their unique traits, we help them develop those traits to their fullest potential. Instead of creating cosmic horrors through oppression, we face real threats through cooperation. Commander Thys leaned forward. You want to reform the Confederation rather than destroy it? We want to fix the galaxy, Admiral Chen replied. Destroying the Confederation would leave a power vacuum that something worse might fill. But reforming it into something that actually serves galactic civilization? That could change everything. Captain. Cathara spoke up. What about the species that were driven to madness? The devourer swarms and void cults that still roam the galaxy? We help them remember who they used to be, Admiral Chen said. Just like we helped you. Every cosmic horror out there was once a civilization with hopes and dreams and potential. They can be that again. Zixthara looked around the chamber at the hundreds of species representatives. For the first time since the trial began, the ambassador seemed to be actually considering the proposal. Why? Zixthara asked. Why offer redemption instead of punishment? We controlled your species for less than a year, but we enslaved others for millennia. Why show mercy? Admiral Chen was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice carried the weight of human history. Because punishment creates enemies, but redemption creates allies, she said. Because humans know what it feels like to be underestimated and controlled. Because the universe is big and dangerous and beautiful, and it deserves better than 50,000 years of stagnation. She gestured to the assembled delegates. Look around this room. Every species here has something unique to offer. The Thylorians are the finest engineers in the galaxy. The Kelrothi understand the deep structure of space and time. The Phantom Empire can exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. And there are 400 other civilizations with abilities we have not even begun to explore. Dr. Kim nodded. Imagine what the galaxy could become if all these species were free to develop their full potential. If they worked together instead of being kept separate. If they faced real cosmic threats as allies instead of as managed resources. The vote was unanimous. The Galactic Confederation was dissolved. In its place, the species of the galaxy created the Guardian Alliance, a voluntary organization dedicated to actual protection and mutual assistance. Species could join or leave as they chose. Knowledge was shared freely. Civilizations were helped to develop their own defenses rather than being made dependent on others. Ambassador Zixthara, now simply Citizen Zixthara, accepted the position of Director of Rehabilitation. The former ambassador's first task was to reach out to the cosmic horrors scattered across the galaxy and offer them something they had not heard in thousands of years: the chance to come home. The transformation did not happen overnight. It took decades to undo 50,000 years of damage. Some species needed time to rediscover their true nature. Others required help healing from millennia of psychological conditioning. A few of the cosmic horrors were too far gone to be saved, but many more proved eager to remember who they had been before corruption took hold. The galaxy became a more dangerous place in some ways. Without the Confederation's rigid control, conflicts did arise. Some species made mistakes. A few civilizations chose paths that their neighbors disapproved of,